Oh boy. Okay. This one's gonna be rough. This one's gonna be rough.
You're okay. This one, real fucking ugly.
You're dead.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
You just bought yourself another Saturday. Christ. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
What will be.
Spoilers for Evil Dead Rise. I just did this whole review without saying that. My bad. I'm gonna insert this in the beginning of the movie. Spoilers. 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 So get out now if you don't want to be spoiled. Not that there's anything much to spoil about this movie. But yeah. Evil Dead Rise, directed by Lee Cronin. Now this movie had high hopes. This movie was highly anticipated by the horror community, and it was highly regarded. I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm pretty sure this movie sits at like a 96. Okay, it went down to an 85% Rotten Tomatoes. So I was going in expecting something phenomenal, you know, and hearing that Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were executive producers on this project, the standards and the hype, the bar was set very, very high. I think that was a detriment to this movie. So let's just start from the beginning. Let's just unpack this. Evil Dead Rise starts with the cabin in the woods vibe. It plays with the cliches. And you think it's going to be that, but it certainly is not. The movie opens with this awesome shot. Very reminiscent of the original Evil Dead, with the camera very fast, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very ethereal, just flying through the sky. But then, what does this movie do? It subverts expectation. That camera, that awesome camera work with the intro, that was a drone. And right off the bat, this movie is very 2023, very modern day. And so this guy is flying the drone over his girlfriend's best friend's head. And you basically learn that the best friend is sick. She winds up being a deadite. She winds up killing these two. And credits don't roll that fast. Intro rolls, Evil Dead Rise. And actually, the way that they rose up over the trees was really sick. If you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you are watching this before you see the movie, that doesn't make sense to you. But I digress. So then the movie goes to our main cast of characters. And for the most part, in my opinion, they're very unlikable. Like, the family that lives in the high-rise, I only really liked the little sister, like the baby sister, and the aunt. The aunt I really liked. So Beth and Cassie, the aunt and the little baby sister, are the two most likable characters in this film, I would say. However, Ellie, which is the mom who is on the poster, she did a phenomenal job. The acting was great. The writing, and kind of like, there's some parts of this movie where some lines are said and you're like, eh. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, just eh. So eh. So basically, this is one of those movies where it's like nothing happens until the stuff happens, if that makes any sense to any people. It's like one of those horror movies where you sit around waiting for the thing to happen. So like the kids and everybody, they're doing their whatever daily tasks, and you're just waiting for the deadites to just burst out and start killing people. And the way that we find the Necronomicon in this movie is it is underneath the high-rise complex that they live in. There's an earthquake that happens, and the children were out getting pizza, and when they come home, the parking garage, the ground, it just splits. It just parts. And they go down there, and they find all these ancient artifacts in the Book of the Dead. And there's this record that... What is this person's name? I have my letterbox open. Excuse me. I don't... That's what I mean. Like, these characters were so forgettable. I hate to say that. I really don't want to sound like that guy that just is hating on it. But Danny. Okay, Danny. So Danny finds the Book of the Dead, and there's, for some reason, this vinyl. I mean, I guess that's true to the original. Anyway, Danny plays the vinyl, and the words are spoken, and the Deadites are unleashed. And it just so happens that when the Deadite is coming into the apartment complex, it just so happens to crash into the mother, Ellie, and she is consumed by the evil. And the evil kills her, and then she rises. Thus the name Evil Dead Rise. That scene in the elevator, there's a specific scene in the elevator. It's very reminiscent to the original, when the character is getting strung up by the tree, and the tree is stringing her up. There's a scene just like that, very reminiscent to the original Evil Dead, where Ellie is being strung up by the elevator cables. And it is so gruesome, it is so good. That's where this movie is at its peak. Now, I feel like the blood was very excessive. The violence was very excessive. Now, the kills, very creative. Like a 10 out of 10 almost on kills, creativity. I mean, the first kill, jumping back to the beginning, when the dude has the drone, the Deadite, the first Deadite in this film, she grabs the drone and she just headbutts the drone while the propellers are spinning, and it just slices her face all up, and she falls into the lake. Just some really gruesome, fun stuff. So if you like gruesome, gory, bloody kills, this movie is for you. Me personally, I like when the blood and the gore, they have a meaning. There's a method behind the madness. This movie, very beautiful. The cinematography, beautiful. It was directed very well. I think the writing failed the beautiful cinematography. But this movie, it doesn't feel like there's a method behind the madness. Like, in the third act, when everything is ramped up and most of everybody is dead, and it's just Beth and Cassie alive, they're back down in the parking garage after they got into the elevator, and the elevator drops like the Tower of Terror ride, and now they're on the bottom floor, and there just so happens to be a gardening, or a, what's the word I'm looking for, like a lawn work vehicle, truck, wood chipper in the parking garage. Like, it just so happens that there's a wood chipper in the parking garage that they're locked in, and it just so happens that there's a chainsaw in the truck. It's very fan servicey, and I can appreciate that they're trying to pay homage to the original. They're trying to give the fans what they want to see, but I think there's a line that needs to be drawn, and like I said, there just didn't feel like there was a method behind the madness. I actually fell asleep for about like 10 minutes of this movie because I just was not invested. And my girlfriend, who I went to see the movie with, she fell asleep right when the mom became a Deadite, and she slept through the whole movie. It just didn't feel like there was anything to latch onto. It didn't feel like there was anything to root for. You meet this cast of characters. Yeah, you kind of feel bad for them, but it's like you don't have enough time with these characters before the stuff starts to happen. And you just don't feel a connection to them. I said to my girlfriend before she fell asleep, I said this movie would be perfect if it were a short film. It drags. In the middle of the movie, building to the climax, when the mom is killing people in the hallway, it is beautifully shot through the little peephole in the apartment door. It's such a great shot. It's also in the trailer. It's such a beautifully shot scene. But then she's just standing at the door, and she's banging on the door for like 20 minutes while the remaining survivors in the apartment are figuring out that this record and the Book of the Dead, it's all connected. And she's just waiting there outside the door. And it almost feels like a pacing issue with this movie. It starts off up here, then it drops down to here, then you get a deadite. She wrecks shit. Like, everybody on that floor that they live on came outside because they heard commotion, and they're trying to fight this mom, Ellie, the deadite, and she's fucking them up. Just fucking them up. And then she just waits outside the door. And then the other sister turns into a deadite. And then some more chaos happens, and then they get into it. It's just a pacing issue, just to save my breath. I feel like the movie is very stop go, stop go, stop go, and it doesn't have a satisfying ending. Now, I'm not I'm not hating on the ending. It was pretty cool. It shows the first deadite that we saw at the lake get infected. That was cool. But it was so... It just feels like it was dragged out. Like, you get the climax where all the deadites form into this one amalgamation, this one creature, this one big deadite, and they get put in the wood chipper. And it's such a climactic ending. Then Beth and Cassie do this badass walkout. She even grabs the chainsaw, which I thought was really corny. She grabbed the chainsaw and walked out with it. And that's where credits should have rolled. But no, then you see the first deadite in the movie on her phone, walk down the parking garage, and then get infected. It just felt like it was very dragged out. Guys, as you could tell, I wasn't the biggest fan of Evil Dead Rise. And I know the majority of the fan base loved the hell out of this movie, but I always wind up being in the minority. Like, I'm a person that liked Halloween Kills when everybody hated it. And now I dislike Evil Dead Rise and everybody's praising it. Overall, Evil Dead Rise is a C- in my book. It's fun if you wanted to shut your brain off and watch some creative kills and some blood and some gore fill the screen. Literally, fill the screen. But besides that, if you really want to think about a movie and be just swallowed by the overarching story beats, this is not the movie for you. So that's what I thought of Evil Dead Rise. Do you guys agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know what you thought of the movie down below. I'd love to spark up a conversation with you. If you haven't subscribed, do me a favor and click the subscribe button. Come back for some more movies. I'm probably going to start to review Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street. I want to get into a very iconic franchise to start reviewing. Anyway, I've been Maximus Cardillo. This has been my Evil Dead Rise review. There's only one more question to ask. Are you not entertained?